Hello, hello, and welcome to Ley Lines. Yes, it is your conscious conversations and connections with incredible people doing magnificent stuff all over the globe for humanity. Today, I'm very excited to have a guest on that I absolutely love. She is such a magnificent woman. Her name is Miyuki Lotz, and she, besides being such a beautiful advocate for the divine feminine, also has some pretty cool accolades behind her. She is a stunt woman, she is an actor, she has a number of sites going, and she also has a fantastic podcast, which is directly designed for the divine feminine. I can't wait to have her on today. We are going to be talking about all things to do with her and her career, but also where she is heading now with the connection that she has to the divine and to the divine feminine. So, the oil that has been chosen by Spirit for her today is such an appropriate one. I absolutely love this oil. I've sat with this oil and worked quite extensively with them as I was trying to accept new community in. And the oil that was chosen for Miyuki was cedarwood. So, cedarwood is the oil of community and connection. And I love it that this has come up for Miyuki because she is in the throngs now of finding her true tribe, especially her woman tribe. And she's working quite extensively at the moment with a great friend of mine, Tracy McMahon, who is doing this fabulous 12-month course called Quintessence. So you get a bit of a free plug in there, Trace. And I can see exactly why this has come up for her. So when I go to my Essential Emotions book, which I'm so grateful for, and we have a little bit of a look, it says cedarwood supports individuals in seeing that they are not alone. Life is a shared experience. It also assists in opening the awareness of individuals to the support system that is already available to them, such as friends or family that have been overlooked. It invites individuals to both give and receive so that they may experience the strength of groups and the joy of relationships. So I am getting closer and more connected to Miyuki by the day and can't wait for her to pop on shortly here on Ley Lines. Make sure that. Mm. So, welcome, Miyuki, to Ley Lines. So beautiful to see you. I love that beautiful face. It is wonderful to have you here. I'm a little bit excited about this particular interview because you are a woman of many, many talents.
Mm.
Yeah, oh, wow. Everyone will see very shortly. I did do an intro and I have gone and said just a few of the things that you're doing, including your stunt work, including being an actor. And then there's even more to you. You are multifaceted and I really want to speak into later those other parts of you that are being created, are evolving at the moment, and are becoming more and more part and parcel of who Miyuki is. So, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for inviting me, Sammy. It's really special.
I'm excited to have you here. Look, it's amazing when you're first starting off in the podcast realm. And, I have found it so easy to find incredible people like you. And I love it that you're so open to be able to actually go and do these interviews, because I'm sure you've been interviewed for all sorts of exciting things during your career. So that's the first thing I want to talk to you about today. I want to have a talk about what you do. So stunt woman, that is the dream job. My brother wanted to be a stunt man when he was a child.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Did he
Yeah.
ever
So
do anything like train or any? Okay, so it never just
no.
eventuated.
Broke
Okay.
quite a few bones pretending, but I want to have a talk about why. Why did you go there? What was it that made you become a stunt woman?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I don't think when I got into stunt work, it was as feasible or popular or well known or even accessible as it is now. So I started back in 2012 was when I went to my first stunt training session. And that happened again by accident. I was working at Movie World as a dancer. And then there's stuntmen there because they do all those shows like the live Batman shows and Flash shows and things. And really nice guy, Jason O'Halloran, little shout out there, lovely man. He still trains and I still go to some of his classes when I can make it. He was the one who invited me to come stunt training. And he said, "You should come stunt training." And I said, "I can't come to stunt training. I'm a girl." And he was like, "Yeah, there's heaps of girls." I said, "I don't fight. I'm not a martial artist." And he goes, "No, dancers make great stunties because you're very flexible. You can do good kicks." And he said, "Just come, see if you like it. It's on Saturday mornings." Anyway, so I went, okay. And I was young. I was like 25 or something, 26. And I thought, oh, well, what else am I going to do? This is pre-kids and everything. So I was like, yeah, I'll just go give it a go. And I went and there were three girls, including me, which apparently was heaps. Now the ratio's flipped. There are more females than males in class. Yeah, it's incredible because a lot of women from the circus lyra background are coming as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they put me in this jerk vest and put me up on this rig and made me do a jerk back. So they like pull you and then you land in these mats. That's what they do a lot with like people who are getting explosions, or if like a superhero like pushes someone with their magical powers, that person goes flying. So that's
The
the stunt.
Matrix. That's what I thought
Yeah,
of
yeah,
straight away, the Matrix.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure I could find the scene in the Matrix where they use the jerk back. And then I did that and landed on the mat and I was like, this is awesome. And then I was hooked.
You hooked.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, um, we discussed some of the questions I was going to ask you, but have you ever been injured?
From stunt,
Yeah, from stunts.
surprisingly not. No.
Wow. So it's pretty safe. It's a safe industry now. They look after you. We did talk a bit about wires and things the other day. So you're looked after pretty well.
I think, yes, I think probably the types of stunts that I've had to do have maybe been less demanding on certain parts of the body maybe than some others, because I know that there have been injuries of people in the past that I know of. But one thing that was really great that someone said to me is if somebody gets injured on the set of stunts, there's usually about three things that did not happen before that to make that injury take place. But it's actually really rare because if everyone's doing their job and hitting their mark, of course, accidents do happen, but if everyone's doing their job, hitting their mark, we've rehearsed it, it should go down without a hitch.
Hmm.
And one of the things is that we've actually got some of the best stunt coordinators in Australia. Like they are amazing. They are so, they are so just articulate and they're so meticulous as well about the safety of their team. And they really work everything out. So I think I've been very lucky that all the stunt coordinators that I've had have also been like really just old school fanatic, very much into it, dotting their I's, crossing their T's. And because one of the jokes that I always make, which is a terrible joke, but they'll always tell me the stunt and this is what we're going to do and da 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 da. So, and I'm like, so I don't die. And they go,
Haha.
not on my watch. And they're like, not on my watch.
Well,
So
that's great.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad I'm
yeah.
glad you're still here. I'm glad you're
Yes,
still here.
yes, yeah.
So I would love to know, and I'm sure everyone would love to know, because they're looking in and out. Oh, stunts movies. Tell us one movie that you have been in that people would have seen you before.
Probably being Jessica Henwick's double on Love and Monsters. It's a film on Netflix and it stars Dylan O'Brien, Jessica Henwick. There's heaps of actors in there. It was shot here on the Gold Coast, at Mount Tambourine and D-Bar in Coolangatta, as well as the studios. And I got to play her double. So there's a few scenes there where I'm driving the car or like fighting in a few places, taking a few wrecks, falling off a few things, and it's me. And so that's probably where you'd
That's me.
see me, but you wouldn't know it was me.
I get excited because every now and then I'll see you on an ad. I think I messaged you the other night. I saw you on an ad. That's my little celebrity fix. So, of course, you're also, as well as being doing all of the stunt work, you are also an actor. And we had a little bit of a talk. I asked you yesterday, tell me some famous people that you've worked with. So, just for the listeners out there, because I love it. Who
I
have
love
you
it.
worked with?
Yes, well, obviously Dylan O'Brien, who I mentioned, and Jessica Henwick, Colin Farrell, Viggo Mortensen, Joel Edgerton. Yeah, it's been a few, and they're all very
Ron
nice.
Howard. Ron
Ron
Howard was
Howard. Oh
that's
yes,
a
yeah.
big
I think
one.
he's a director. Yes, Ron Howard. Yeah, he's a big one. And one of the ones actually who's more local, Sean Sweet. He's like a local director, like an Aussie director, but he's amazing. He's doing a lot of stuff as well. Yeah, so yeah, I've worked with a few actually. It's been good. It's been good.
Yeah, and you were, well, reasonably recently, you were on the story of the children that were stuck in the cave in the Philippines.
Thailand.
Oh, it was Thailand. Oh, there you go. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
That was
was
the
it?
Ron Howard film. That was the Ron
Yes.
Howard film. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've
So
watched
yeah,
that. I'll have to watch it
you
again
did.
because I didn't actually, I wasn't looking for you.
Oh, you won't know. It's me. Like I was on a motorbike or a moped at the background because I was a stunt driver in that. So because the base camp was actually built in, oh no, I'm going to give away the secrets. The base camp was actually built at I think it's called Eco Fellini in Mudgeeraba, just out the back there of Mudgeeraba. Yeah, they do a lot of weddings and things like that there. So there's this massive property, and that's where they made the entrance of the cave. And then they also rebuilt what looked the base camp that was in Thailand. So that where most of the film takes place is actually at the base camp. So they had built this base camp and it was all sandy and muddy. They had these special effects machines over the top that would do rain from level 1 to 3 because it was monsoon season. So they had to make it look like it was raining all the time. And because there was about 450 extras, then you've got actors and very tight quarters and the wet, they needed to make sure that they had people like stunt drivers who were quite precision drivers to drive the motorbikes and the cars so that everyone was safe. So you won't
Oh,
know it's me. And we actually had a running joke because we had a core stunt driver team and we were like, oh, it's like the 13 lives of this guy or the 13 lives of that, because it was like how many different looks can we do with the one
oh,
person to try and make it look like a different person? Yeah.
oh, goodness. Oh, you have given away a few secrets there.
I know.
Hopefully, there was no non-disclosure acts going on.
Yeah,
Now,
maybe not. Yeah, maybe before the film, not after. It's all done
yeah, yeah,
now.
that's all done. It's all done. So, I met Miyuki through one of the circles that I was facilitating with our beautiful friend Tracy McMahon, and straight away I thought, oh, this woman's kind of special. This is without even knowing anything about you. You can usually pick up on when there's someone who's just got something that little bit different from everyone else. And so slowly we're still getting to know each other, and which is exciting. I love it that we're learning more and more about each other. And you have a beautiful podcast. Actually seem to be interviewing a lot of people that have podcasts. I think it's the way of the future, I believe.
Yes.
And I love the name of it because yesterday when I was speaking to you, I was like, she XX and podcast. And then you explained it to me. So can you explain your podcast to everybody and how it came to be?
Okay. So yes, thank you, Sammy. The podcast is titled She, as in SHE, and it stands for Shared Human Experience. It's for women because I'm talking about the shared human experience from a female perspective. But, hopefully if it goes well and eventuates out, it'd be lovely to have a few men on there as well, share their
Mm.
experiences. The title came to me actually at one of Tracy McMahon's retreats, the most recent one, back in July. And I knew I wanted to start this podcast. And I just had so many people actually sort of telling me I needed to do one as well. Like they were going, you need to do this. You need to, including Tracy. They're like, you need to just get your act together, like start saying this stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, do I really? I'm like, I don't have any credentials. I'm not a doctor. I don't have a PhD. Who's going to want to hear all this stuff? And they go, just you and your lived wisdom. Just say it. And I'm like, anyway. So I just think the moment had come where it was just like the pressure was there in the sense of, okay, I'm just going to do it then. I'm just going to do it. Like too many people are saying it. I've got, energy for it. And then I was like, but what am I going to call it? And I was like, okay, I need to figure out what I want to call it. And I knew I wanted it to represent the shared human experience. I knew that I wanted it to be very much about how to be human, because I believe that, especially now, we're having such a movement towards being spiritual, and everyone's trying to be very, very spiritual and connect that way. But I believe that our organic roots are spiritual, because we're all having a spirit, like we're all souls or energetic beings, whatever you think we are, but we're all light and love coming in trying to have a human experience. We keep
That's
saying that
right.
rather than the other way. So it's just, we've got to remember our soul and our spirit and have a connection to it. But I think what we really need to learn is how to be human. That's the part that we really actually need to learn about and know more about, and collectively exchange ideas about, to then feel less isolated or have more community around, So for me, I was like, that's what I want the podcast to be about really how to be human and have the most conscious human experience. And then, as I said, I'm like, well, you've got to do it from a woman's perspective because you are a woman and that's what you know. And I love Chris Gardner. He always says, start where you are. He's the guy who, it was The Pursuit of Happiness, that Will Smith movie. That's the
Mm-hmm.
guy. He always says, start where you are. So that's always stuck with me. Well, start where you are. I'm like, well, I'm a woman. Let's start there. And I was like, well, what am I going to call it? So I asked my guides at retreat during meditation, it's like, just give me a name. Just give me the name that's going to do this. And then, yeah, after one of my sound journeys with Kayla, it just said shared human experience, and XX is the female chromosome. So it means for women. I was like,
Mm.
okay. EXX it is.
Perfect. And I really do agree with you about this human experience. I mean, we can just be the human doing and just do 9 to 5 every day, do the cookie cutter life. Or we can actually go and embrace this human experience and see where it takes us, see what adventures are out there for us, what we're here to learn, what we're here to experience. We are feeling, doing, being, seeing all of these, the clairs within us, which we
Yes,
need to explore while we're here. I do not want to leave this earth with my song still in me. And so
yes,
I need to have those experiences as a human. The spirit stuff will come, if you're
yeah.
connected, and that's
Hmm.
why people like you and myself are out there as well, because we're trying to connect people so that they can actually have a connected human spirit experience and not have to go and disconnect from
Yes,
either.
exactly. Because life is contrast, it's light and shadow, it's the duality. Like everything in life has the balance. I always think, this is something going way back, but when I think it was The Meaning of Life, my dad introduced me to The Hitchhiker's Guide of the Galaxy. And he would always joke about it being 42. And I'm like, I'm not understanding. He goes, because to the computer, they process the information, it's 42. So the meaning of life to the computer is 42. I said, well, what does it all mean? He goes, the meaning of life is whatever you are, like what it means to you. And then I was like, okay. And, again, being human is so complex. I'm like, well, what does it mean to be human? And then I was like, well, what does humans need? I'm like, every time I look, they're always wanting to create a sense of balance. And then when I started looking outwards of myself, I go, well, what in nature is always looking for balance? And I realized that the actual meaning of life is in a tree or in a plant, because wherever a plant is, whether they're in the desert or on the canopy floor or high up, they have evolved themselves to then be what they need to be in order to gain the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of moisture to then thrive in a state of balance so that they can grow to be the most optimal plant or tree that they can be. And that was a really big thing for me. That's what we need to do as humans, or that's what I'm striving to do as a human being, is just find the areas in life where I can be doing a bit more or whatever it is that I need to do, just more malleable to then create the most homeostasis within myself for this experience. And part of that is being connected, but also knowing how to be human, like connected as a human too. And a lot of the things, so that I had a few very dear friends and family friends, end of 2021 and beginning of 2022, just within a space of 6 months, just all passed away. And it was a really big thing for me because I haven't been, I think, when you're younger, you're around death, you're not really sure what's going on. But when you're a bit older, you understand what that means. And it really actually shattered my belief system. I think I was a bit naive because one of my friends who, was suffering from cancer, she actually said, I'm going to beat this. And I remember seeing her in hospital and I believed her, and she's very spiritual. So I thought, yeah, she's going to beat this. And then 2 weeks later, she was gone. And it was this really rude awakening to sometimes the human spirit can't overcome the physical. And I really started to have go into that grief and understand that and what does that mean. And then the other thing that it also brought up for me was, why are we so bad as humans? Like, how am I think I was 35 then, only really understanding how to deal with grief and death now at 35, when it's the one inevitable and one thing that every human being, no matter what walk of life you're coming from, has in common. How am I only figuring out how to deal with this now? So that really started me on a big trajectory of like, how do I become a more conscious human? How do I be better at dealing with things like that we don't talk about, that we don't see, that we push aside, that we label as dark or bad? Because I'm like, this is all a part of it. And in fact, trying to get better at this would make us then be in a more balanced state to then handle any of it, because we're neutral. No matter, we're not labeling it good or bad, or the pain is just as beautiful to feel as the euphoria.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm
We
finding
need that
myself now.
pain. How would we know? How would we be able to know anything if we didn't taste the bitter? We need to know the bitter in order to be able to know the sweet. So, yes, I see exactly where you're going. I want to just step back a little bit. The
Okay.
tree. I want to go back to this tree
Okay.
concept we have. Because as I was listening to you, yes, absolutely, trees are incredible the way that they'll position themselves. But they also really heavily rely on community. So it was so interesting. I had something sent to me today about trees and about how they work with each other. And when one is sick, the others will go and work. They'll all talk through their root systems and they will go and they will support the other tree that is sick. And they move together, they work together on so many different levels to create this beautiful community. And it's so funny because I picked an oil for you, which I have already spoken into in my intro, but this is really, really, I think it's quite pertinent to what you're speaking about, because the oil that came up for you, that Spirit chose for you, was cedarwood, the oil of community. First of all, from a tree to start with.
Yeah.
And then at the moment, I see you, Miyuki, and I see that you are creating a community. with both your podcast, but also you're doing quintessence at the moment, and you have these women that you're all rallying together and working together, and you're trying to find your people. I
Mhm.
feel that you're gathering your support network around you that will be there for you through the trials, through everything. And you'll be able to just communicate with them through the roots in the ground and be able to create this beautiful community around you. And there was something in here that I really loved, and it said, Cedarwood also assists in opening the awareness of individuals to the support system that is already available to them, such as friends, family, and anyone that they've overlooked. It invites individuals to both give and receive so that they may experience the strength of groups and the joy of relationships. And it's no coincidence that Cedarwood has turned up for you. So what are you wanting to find in a community? What is it that Miyuki needs to have in her community to feel safe, grounded, all of those things?
Okay. Um, First of all, I just wanted to say I had no idea about that with the trees, the root systems and things like that. That just makes even more sense as to why I'm so just enamored with them. I'm like, because they help each other out.
They
So thank
do.
you for sharing that. So what am I looking for in a community? I I really love accountability. I think accountability is very important, um, in the sense that I'm willing to give it as much as I'm willing to receive it. And I
Mhm.
think when you have that accountability and when you receive accountability from someone who you know is only looking out for your best interest,
Mm.
then, and it's coming from a place of love, then you're able to stop and go, okay, thank you for that. Um, yeah, I need to go check that out. Why is that coming up for me? You are helping me grow right now by just shining a mirror up to me being to the accountability of self. Um, but yeah, obviously, so accountability, which I think then is into it's extrapolates out into that's a form of trust. You can only truly have a symbiotic relationship of accountability with another person if you have that trust. And then trust then filters even more further back to love, a sense of love. Um, the Greeks have about 6 different words for love, and I love it. I love it, because their words describe the different facets that love can have in different communities or different sectors of life. And one that they have for friends um, is really lovely. It's about love that you have for people, but love that you have for community. They have a Greek word for that. And I didn't realize I was going to be speaking about this, otherwise, I would have had them all here. They even have love for life. They even have one. I remember this one because it says Ludo. And I remember this because I think that was a rapper at some stage. They have Ludo,
Ludicrous,
which
yes. Ludo.
and then have that one, and that's like your love for life, like your love to just have a zest for life and a dance and a flirt and the charm of life, and that's Ludo, and like you get your friends together and you just get a bit Ludo, and I just thought, oh, this is so beautiful, just that there's all these different facets of this word love and how it actually fills your cup and how it creates relationships and communities, but also helps fulfill you and help you grow and all those things. So I think for me, yeah, a sense of love, trust, accountability, uh, expansion and joy.
Okay, so these are your
And
5 non-negotiables, do you think?
oh wow, I'd say from possibly, yeah,
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 yeah.
definitely. Yeah, they would definitely be that. Um, and I think just, swim in your own lane. So acceptance. I'd have to add acceptance.
Yeah.
One of the things I've always said, and I say it to my son as well, like, as long as you're not hurting yourself and others, I'm not going to interfere. But when that starts happening, I'm going to have to say something. So, you know, And that's how I feel about other people. I'm like, it's not how I would have done it, but they're not hurting themselves or others, and it's not my lesson to learn. Can't interfere in that one.
I
And I'll
think
just
that's
be here
pretty
holding
wise.
space. Yeah,
Yeah, very, very
you know,
wise.
yeah.
So,
So
where are you going from here? What is your trajectory from here? What are your dreams? I think that everyone would love to know what your dreams are. I mean, yes, you have your career, but where would you like to expand? Where's this expansion going to come from and where is it going?
Uh, I do love stunts and I do love acting as well. And I actually thought about the next phases of those, of where to go. Um, and it's highly ambitious to do both, but I would love to be able to become a female stunt coordinator and also write and direct my own film at some stage, or projects, plural. Because there's only about three or four, I think, female stunt coordinators in Australia and New Zealand at the moment. So there's not many. And I just think, in light of where we're heading, again, it's nothing against men. I love men. I think men are beautiful, and I'm the mother of a son. But it's that idea of just having these women in these leadership roles. And I just feel that I could really do that in a way that was conscious, and in a way that was very inclusive, and also in a way, when I say inclusive, I mean inclusive of, everybody's talents, regardless of race or sexual orientation or gender. And in a way that I would love to see more of a community. Like, we are working together, we understand we're different. This is how you deal with things, and this is what you can bring to the pot. This is how we deal with things, how we can bring it to the pot, and let's see where we can meet in the middle. So I
I
always
think, sorry, you go.
No, but I feel like in order to have that kind of influence, you need to sort of be in these head positions of power, so then you can bring that sort of together. Um, you know.
I think that is absolutely attainable for you. I think you're a bit of a master manifester.
Oh,
Mm.
thanks.
And I think that it is totally attainable. That's my true belief.
Oh,
You
beautiful.
are on, I think you're on a beautiful trajectory at the moment with both your work that you're doing, so that physical work, that make a living work that you do, but also on the spiritual trajectory that you're on also. I look at you in awe, and I love it when I hear, I'm lit. I'm lit. So you're often lit with ideas, with things that you want to attain, and this is what life is all about. This is about having the dream and going for it. And I see in every moment that you are going for it. You really are, and I love that about you, Miyuki.
Oh, thanks, Sammy. It's so nice hearing that because I totally admire you and think that you're so amazing. So it's really special. But I think, yeah, I'm like you when you said, I don't want to die with my song still in me. It's that idea of, I know death is coming. I don't know when, but it's coming. And if I know that that is the outcome of my life, then I'm going to do as much as I can from now till then to really make sure that I have the least amounts of regrets that I can. I'm
Beautiful.
sure there's always, yeah, some things I'm like, oh, maybe didn't have to do that one. But I believe we live in a self-correcting universe, so we always find our feet eventually. But yeah, that idea of because again, when I was 15, I actually had this, I guess you could say, like, quarter life crisis where I'm like, what am I actually doing here? And I Googled, because I went, oh, well, I definitely don't want any regrets. So I Googled the top three regrets that people have on their dying bed.
Hmm.
And one was, I'd wished I always lived the life that I wanted. Number two was, I wish I spent more time with loved ones. And number three was, I wish I'd traveled more. So when I found that out at 15, I'm like, right, I'm going to make sure I'm always living my authentic path. I'm going to path. I'm going to spend as much time with my loved ones as possible, and I'm going to travel every single country I can get to. And I've pretty much been on that trajectory since I was 15.
And I love that. I love that to close with. Let's make sure that we don't, and I know that you are not, leaving that everything until the last minute. Let's live life now. Let's enjoy this human experience. And I'm so grateful for you popping on today and being able to share how your human experience and spiritual experience is going. And I think that I'm going to have to interview you again, because I would love to do this in a year's time and see where you have gone from a year ago.
Okay, let's
All
make it a
right.
date.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Miyuki. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate my listeners, and I will leave all of the handles and tags for you to be able to follow along in Miyuki's journey. And make sure to subscribe down below so that you can enjoy Ley Lines. Thank you. Thank you. Love you.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.